Oh, and good afternoon. I'm just giving a little heads up that we're going to go live. We're live now, but we're going to go live and do a guided meditation tonight. And between now and New Year's Eve, in the evenings, that's what we're going to do, right? Because you guys need the tools to pick the life you are. Otherwise, you're just going to be living in a grade B movie. You should go listen to Gil Scott Heron, right? I keep telling you, go watch this, go listen to that. Because one of the best vehicles to be able to choose your own life, really, is art and culture. What is considered entertainment or social media is more akin to crack cocaine. I mean, what it does to your biochemistry is more akin to crack cocaine. It enters into certain neuroreceptors in your brain and the rest of your body. So your brain isn't the only thing that has neuroreceptors in it. And when people go, I have a gut feeling, meaning they have more brains in their gut than they do in their head. So um, we're going to have right now. I'm staying with friends, and I have access between the coffee shops and the other things to go on Wi-Fi and talk to you guys. But after New Year's, I'm going to be more on the bop, so I'm going to be more fluid. So I won't be, on the channel. But I have over 1,000 shows, more or less, that you can go watch. Right? You don't need the newest thing. And my new rules, because I can have rules, I started out saying that I don't have, this is a no wrench spot. No, and I'm not having an administrator. But what I do have is at the end of each show, there's comment place. Well, nobody really leaves any comments. I want more comments. So anybody who wants to be mean, cruel, um, selfish, a troll, uh, only talk about themselves, that's the comment section, right? Um, the live chat is for the interactive intercourse of social, uh, you know, dynamics of what we're doing. So tonight, when we do a live chat, and I'm going to go straight into going into state, and I'm going to set up the energetic field on the screen before I start, before I go live. And I'm not going to keep going back, starting over and over again. I'm just going to keep going. And you can either jump on or, and all it does is take the breathe 20% in and 30% out. Even if you come in, 10 minutes after we get started, a half an hour after we get 40 minutes after we get started, you can still go straight to your Akashic record and start investigating, right? So take advantage of the energetics of the screen, right? And so, but anybody who, like last night, that we had a couple of trolls, and up they go. And folks who didn't even want to talk about what we were doing, they just wanted to talk about what they wanted to talk about. Well, up they go, right? And they may go, oh, see, he shut me up. He's a terrible. Well, go on the comment. Say as much crap as you want to say. But live chat is for those who are truly seeking, who are part of the community, who are the chorus, right? Not, the peanut gallery. You want to be the peanut gallery, go to the bottom of the show there at the comments, right? And the same with my Gmail. I'm tired of having to go through 50 or 60, uh, you know, things a day on my Gmail. And more than half of it is trolls and people who are, oh, you're so mean. Bingo, out they go. So the real context, if you want to, I'm leaving you a place to do whatever you want, but that is the comment zone, right? That's the peanut gallery. No. But if you really want to be part of the community, part of the cadre, part of the chorus, an adept, look that word up, adept, what that means. If you're going to follow that path, yeah, well, then you're welcome to live chat. And you can have, obviously different points of view. And in the morning, so this morning, I basically came on and said the same thing. Hey, at 7 p.m., going to do a live chat, guided meditation, and there are new rules. If you're a troll or if you want to distract or not be part of the chat, out you go. And with very little ceremony, I won't say anything and just bingo. And so that's how it's going to be. And but if you want to be mean and cruel and be a troll and just talk about yourself and blah blah blah, well, there's the comment section, right? And in the mornings, if I do live chats in the morning, you can come on. And so, like, there were two folk who were really off, but they were interesting. They were, this one guy or gal or artificial intelligence. Who knew, or who knows? I know I don't. Basically, we're going on about how, men were women and women were men, and all the terrible things men do, it's because of women. And it just went on in this. And it was interesting. But if we were trying to do something in the evening focused, that stuff would just be a distraction. So anyone shows up like that, out they go. But they can comment all they want on the comment section, right? And they can, if I do a morning one, they can jump in there and be as strange as they want to be. Can't be cruel, can't be mean, can't be all those things that defines a troll. So that's like the new way this, we're just navigating a little different, right? So I gave everyone about a year, 15 months to try and get on the path. And now I'm going to assert a little of my, sensei-ness, right? But still, this is wide open. And as long as you respect the cadre, right? And, a lot of you may say, but you stuck, when you blah, 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 and you didn't, well, I did apologize. Didn't you see? I mean, I'm not really going to apologize anymore because I did a Uber apology last evening. So whenever you think I need to apologize to you, just go to last night's, what is that? Last night was Sunday, so that's the 22nd of December. Go to the evening Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob. And I'm going to try and do the evening shows at 7 p.m. so everyone can kind of know that that's when it is, right? So if you think I need to apologize, go to that show, right? That's, December 22nd, I guess, I think. See, Wednesday is Christmas. That's the 5th. Tomorrow's the 4th, 25th. Yep, 22nd. Sunday, December 22nd, in the evening, and Dreamy Dreamland. Even if I don't need to apologize, if you need someone to apologize, go to that show. And because I think I did one of the greatest apologies ever seen, right? That's just my opinion, right? I got down on my hands and knees. I defied gravity. I begged for, forgiveness, and went on in great, self-flailing and flatulation, and that crew of the Catholics do when they, hit themselves with a cat, nine tails with little Barbie things, So. If you want an apology, or do you think I need to apologize to you, just go to Sunday's December 22nd's evening show. And there it is, my apology, right? It's there for all of history to see. My apology, right? It's the apology show, right? You should call it that. But I didn't know that I was going to go into the apology show. And, it was thanks to research, research. Right? And research, a great guy, he's really personifies a certain caliber of expression. And he does it really great. Just like I think I did the greatest apology ever. I think that, you know, research is, and it speaks for itself. I don't have to say anything about it. Just go to last night's show because he jumped in the beginning, and I tried to take the cadre someplace, and I couldn't. So I had to give, humanity's greatest apology ever seen. It may not be the Uber, but I mean, it's one of the top 10 apologies. It really is. So if you ever need an apology, no matter who you want it from, I think going to December 22nd show on Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob and watching that apology, no matter who has besmirched you, you'll feel better, right? So this is just a heads up that tonight's, show is going to be administered a little differently, not so letting, like we only spent an hour and 15 minutes in guided meditation, and we spent 2 hours and 12 minutes just hearing the same thing over and over and over and over. And then others chimed in, he's right. And I tried to say, well, how is he right? But he's right. Research is right. Well, how is he right? He's right. Well, how is he right? Meaning that's the other thing I'm going to be a little more of a stickler for. You guys have to say more than, hey, how you doing? You're going to have to, when we do a guided meditation, you need to speak up when we come back and tell us, the cadre, what you felt, what you saw, because by doing that and sharing that, we connect our endocrines. Hey, Jamie. Jamie, I'm laying down some new rules of the game, right? Pretty much for the last 15 months, I let anybody say or do whatever they want, right? And I even let the trolls stay there. But then they got so that I said, oh, all I have to do is hit those little dots. Bingo, they're out, right? Well, that's not hard. So I kind of started taking that out, right? But then people basically, we're trying to do something here. Like when we do a guided meditation, I don't want people to talk about how cool their new shoes are while other people, because people get drawn to the live chat. And I can tell the live chat is, the guided meditation is going good is when people don't chat. What I'd like to see is when we come back, people were to talk about what their experience was, because we could share our experiences, people would get a better feedback on what they experienced, and so we could go further. And what's IMO? In my opinion, anyway, I'm just going to try and tell people, hey, and the other thing is, you can say anything about me, be as mean and cruel as you want, talk only about yourself in the comments, just in the comments, right? And Jamie, did you see this morning show? There were two folks who came on who were truly amazing. They were like, whoa, out there. And that's what the morning ramble is. That's what it's going to be called, the morning ramble, where you can ramble as much as you want. I won't spend hours on it, but you can go at it. But the evenings, I want to, because time is growing short. I keep talking about this window of opportunity, and New Year's is coming up in a week. I want people to start really being serious about going into state and looking at their life, being self-reflective, not blaming someone else. And So, what's his name? And other people, you're mean, you're terrible, blah, blah, blah. Right. So I did an apology last night. Did you see my apology, Jamie, last night? I think it's one of the best apologies that humanity has ever done. I got it down on my knees and I wailed and I gnashed teeth and all of that and, groveled and please, please. Oh, I'm so, go watch it. And I think that one apology might be the foundation for world peace. If anyone feels somewhat besmirched, they can go watch that. Ooh, my soup is I can smell it, so I got to turn the heat down. So just hang out there for a second. I'll be right back here. Meditate on my coffee cup. Okay, I'll be right back. Hey. Ay, ay, ay. Ooh, I'm making a cabbage, potato, split pea, ham. What else I got in there? Celery, onions, lots of celery, lots of onions, and I take the little potato peeler and take the strings off the celery, and then I cut it up real fine. Very yummy. I knew Ram Dass, not like we're best friends, but I met him many, many times. I had a buddy of mine named Wavy Gravy, right? We went to prep school together. We were both preppies. He was a little older than me, and his family had more money than God. And I met him in the Haight back in the day when I worked for Billy Graham, not the evangelist, but the rock and roll guy who owned the Fillmore East and the Fillmore West. And one spring, it was like a Grateful Dead tour, and my friend Lester, who had the Gray Rabbit, we kind of went on tour with him. And it was like one of the show buses, more like the party show bus. And the undercarriage, it was a Greyhound bus, so I had a good deal of storage. I had my all of my tools, right? And so I wasn't like part of the crew setting things up, but I was the crew when I get there to make sure everything worked and nothing blew up. And in the middle of a show, if something did, I could, and I could always get rid of that buzz, So I went to California the first time, and this is, I don't know, 67, the summer of love. And we cruised into San Francisco, and Wavy was there, and he was buds with all of those folks, right? And there was a guy, what was his name? He was the voice of the Fillmore East and West. I think it was Rabbit. Oh, not quite sure. It'll pop. I think it was some kind of animal. Anyway, and on the when you hear the record of Janis Joplin at the Fillmore East, Janis Joplin, here's a great lady in a holding company, right? That was that guy's voice. He was the voice, the announcer at these shows. And anyway, we went there, and I stuck around, and I, so after the week that show was there, it moved on, and I stayed there, and so did Lester. Lester wanted to stay there. He had bought a new building in San Francisco. He kept buying buildings all over the place, and so he wanted me to help him. He found this really funked out building that he bought. I mean, we weren't squatting. He bought it, and so I got the electricity working and the utilities safe, and And it was kind of down there in the Haight, and he was going to make that his bus depot for the Gray Rabbit, and that's kind of, and we were having a party. It was a great space, and it it was a, I wouldn't even call it a warehouse, but the back part had big garages that you could bring tractor trailers into. So he could bring 4 or 5 buses in there and work on them. He was a motorhead, so this was going to be his West Coast spot where he could, break down engines and take them out of buses and do all that kind of stuff. I could have sworn Ram Dass passed a few years ago. Me too. But he always looked like he was dying, right? I mean, even when I met him in the 60s, he didn't look too good, right? So, me too. I actually did think that Ram Dass was already dead like 8 years ago. And then I heard a friend of mine said, "Oh, Ram Dass died." I was, really? I thought he was already dead. But people say that about me all the time. I thought you were dead, So anyway, we went to this part, and that's when, when I met Ram Dass for the first time, he was Richard Alpert, right? Not Ram Dass. And yeah, Baba. And Baba was a cool dude, I mean, all of those guys from India were cool, as long as they didn't have heirs. There were a lot of those guys who came over just for the Rolls Royce and the girls and the money, right? But the folks who were in true spirit, and there's a bunch of them around now, and it's hard, when people, in a lot of ways. I like the fact that we have a very small crew, and people aren't viewing, you're mean. I like it better, that way people won't look at me. The worst thing is when people start looking at you like you were God or something. No, I'm not even close. I'm a storyteller. That's what I am. Don't believe a word I say, except the fact that tonight at 7 p.m. we're going to definitely great story about Ram Dass. Amazing. He is my dad's age. Yep. Mm-hmm. And he was like, probably, so he died, what, 88, 77? He was like 12, 15 years older than me. But when I met him, I was probably 67, so I was probably 17, 18. And anyway, when I met him, is Richard Alpert, and he was basically a CIA guy, He was getting all these drugs from the CIA to hose down, this whole movement, so it wouldn't take off, not the hippie movement, not the anti-war movement, not any of those kind of movements, but the free love. We were flower children, right? And so Wavy had a lot of money, and so what he did when we cruised in and Lester bought this building, and I was like focused on, first week or two on that show. And also Bill Graham wanted me to do some stuff at the, to make the Fillmore East and West be more parallel, because he had, a Neve board in each, 16 track board in each, and Studer recording, because Phil's gig was, he had amazing taste. So he kept picking great bands when they were playing in dives, like the Dead and Janis Joplin and the Airplane and a whole bunch of those guys, that whole crew, right? And so he had 2 big houses that had about 3, big houses that, 3,000 people came in. And these guys were playing at bars, with the Doors, who else? Folks of that, Jimi Hendrix. And he went and found them and said, "Listen, you can play in my space, right? And it's, 3,000, and I'll give you the door." So these guys are used to getting $300-400 a gig split through their whole band. And so, he's charging about $10 a head to get into his Fillmores. And there's 3,000 seats, that's like $30,000. So he's saying, "Hey, I'll give you the door, $30,000. So you're going from $200 a night to 30,000. It's like, whoa. But I own the tapes, and we sign this contract. You get the door, I get the tapes. And, he made them, and then he made billions. And the movie, um, Woodstock would have been forgotten if it wasn't for Billy Graham. He produced it, and he got the film company. It was his nephew, or a friend of his nephew, that was the face of the Fillmore. But Billy, he brought the bands in. He had the money when things got really screwed up. He had the cash to push it forward. So, because we had to move the whole show of Woodstock from Woodstock County into Max Yager's farm, and we had 2 weeks to do it. We had been working on this thing for 2 months, and then we had to take it all down and move it 40 miles over here and set it up again. And it wasn't a prime spot. It was beautiful. It was a dairy farm, hard to put stage and lights and towers and power, so, and it rained a lot too, so we couldn't bring equipment in. It was very difficult. But Billy, put his Neve board and his Studer equipment. We had him in a truck, so it didn't get wet. And that was my whole thing. Before I was sent off to get stuff, because I was the only guy who wasn't a drunk and had a driver's license. My boss, Bob Goddard, sent me back to New York to get some stuff. And by the time, I got there, it was like, midnight, and I filled the truck up, and then we had a little apartment upstairs on his like where his shop was in the meat packing district, right? So he had one of these things that used to be a meat packing thing, loading dock, big space, right? So that was where he had all his equipment, and we fixed things, and we stored things and moved them out there. But we were surrounded by steaks and chops and pigs and guys in bloodied white, aprons. And anyway, I drove back there, and there was a bar there that was amazing, because if you were a butcher and you walked in with your apron or your white coat, you just walk in. You could have Fred Flintstone kind of, steaks, and you could drink all you wanted, right? And you didn't have to pay anything. It was like the secret club. And so, yeah, we had to shop there. We kept fixing all of their bandsaws and all their electric stuff. And so we were honorary butchers. We had our own aprons. And so I went over there, had dinner, then came back, and I was knackered, so I just slept. And I woke up with the sun, and I basically called up I was, because when I was coming out of there, the traffic was already starting to get pretty weird. And so I called up the highway patrol and said, "So how's the New York Thruway?" "Well, it's closed. We've closed the New York Thruway." Well, I said, "Well, that's about it for me." So I called up, Billy Graham's office and got Madge, the good-looking secretary who basically ran everything. She wasn't only good-looking, she was brilliant. And I said, "Okay, Madge, I'm not getting back up there." She goes, "Oh, yeah, Joni Mitchell can't get up there either. A whole bunch of people. We're getting a helicopter. You want to fly a helicopter?" I said, No, not really. They don't need me." "They sure you don't need me, that buzz?" I said, "Oh, it'll be fine." So I didn't make Woodstock. Neither did Joni Mitchell. She and I didn't make it. Everybody else took the helicopter. We didn't. And yet she wrote the anthem, the song Woodstock. She wrote that herself. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, kind of made it theirs, but it was on her, I think, Blue album. So anyway, that's those guys. That's how I knew them. That's how I met Wavy Gravy. And what he did was, so in the year 1967, I think, the Summer of Love, I think it was 67. Anyway, he, down in the Haight, it was just people threw all their tires and and all the drainage went down there, and the shit went down. It was just a disgusting place. And he went and bought himself a backhoe with a front end loader and dug everything out, moved all the garbage, got dumpsters, and just filled it. He was driving a stupid backhoe himself, and he cleared it all out. He put drainage in so the septic didn't just pile up there, which is something the city of San Francisco should have done, but because it was in the Haight, and that's where the old bums lived, they didn't care. And surrounding that were the black people, and they really didn't care. The interesting thing about infrastructure, where it's killing people, is where poor and black folk are. But it's gotten so bad, it's not just there. It's now where the rich are. There's a place in Roanoke, Virginia, that had been, a worse during World War II. GE dumps some of the most toxic stuff in this, dump that was in a mountain. Right? And then, they just covered it up, and then trees grew up around it. And, in 1970, they sold it to some developer, and they built this thing called Hunting Hills. And these people have big, fancy houses, and their water comes straight out of where that nastiest of nasty stuff that they never cleared up, because GE had a World War II Manhattan Project kind of get out of jail. I never had to mention the stuff they did. And so Roanoke is a really toxed out, deadly place when nobody talks about it. And around the 80s, I started to realize this. And I started, in my demographic days, I would have access to county and city demographics, and also, the MEs, and saying who died, where they died, and what they thought they died of. And it was quite interesting, because anything that had to do with dying of exposure to something corporate, it was heart attack. Yes, they died of a heart attack, but that's only because they were so sick and toxed out from the environment that they couldn't take the stress anymore, and they had a heart attack. So tonight at 7 p.m., we're just going to go straight into guided meditation. I'm going to bring you all to your Akashic records, and we're going to practice virtually every night how you can, the more you do it, the easier and quicker we'll do it. I'm going to be disciplined and not go off message and tell all kinds of stories that distract you. We're going to focus on going there, right? And you seeing, and you being able to remote view and take a look at all this stuff, where you came from, who you are, what the hidden hand is, what the powers that shouldn't be are doing, So, and I'm going to do that, until, because I would say in about 2 weeks, I'm going to hit the bop, and I'm going to be really on the road. So I'm not going to be able to be as accessible as I am right now. So I'm going to do this as much as I can for the next week. And, might even be a week. I'm not quite sure, where I'm going or when I'm going. But I know at least, a week. And so then, it might be 2 weeks I still am available. But the decade of love. Yep. Good golly, Miss Molly. Yep. So that's what I'm planning to do this evening at 7. I just wanted to give everyone a heads up. Why don't you folks go talk to other folks of the cadre and say, hey, let's see how many people we can get there. Be nice to get more than 8, but it doesn't matter, because I keep pumping this into the internet, right? And if there's only more than 2 of you, it's quite omnipresent across the whole www, right? So let's see, it's 34 minutes and 28 seconds. So at 35 minutes and 35 seconds, I will say, see you later. I'll see you at 7 p.m. and we'll be disciplined and focused and pretty much go straight to, guided meditation and going in state. And basically, if more than two people at the beginning do that, then whoever shows up, they can dive. It's like a swimming pool. I don't have to redo it again. Don't have to start from the beginning. Start breathing 20% and breathing out 30, right? And it's interesting to watch, that, I'll talk for a half an hour or whatever it takes for me to get a few people to get right about where I'm going to go into meditation. And then some distraction, somebody says something or other. And, I deal with that. And by the time I look back, it's maybe an hour is gone. And then there's about 8 or 9 people. And I go, okay, we're going to start meditating. As soon as I say that, it goes from 8 or 9 people to 2. I mean, people are petrified to go into state and see themselves. It's really interesting, right? Especially the folks who, I've been meditating forever. Well, then why don't they come along for the ride? Right? Anyway, so 35, and 53. Oh, so it's a meditation session. Why keep the live chat? It's okay. I'm going to ask a question here. That's exactly what I was thinking. Maybe I won't do the live chat. So what button do I push? Right. So I am such a neophyte in that I know to push live chat. The thing comes up. I put a title. I go straight on. There is no doing it. Right. And is there a way to, during the live meditation, not, to be able to go back to the chat? Because I would like to talk to people after we come back, and then because if the cadre can discuss what they expressed, and with the understanding that there is no right, but just like Buddy said, it was like all these colors on the floor, right? So I was looking at it when he, and what I saw he was looking at was Ouroboros, a time tunnel, a space continuum kind of thing, right? So, so you're right, Jane. So we'll experience, and so I can not look at what people say, right? Maybe we'll have the chat because I like the chat there because it's a representation. Even if people are trying to distract it or whatever, it's still kind of a representation of the gestalt or the generalistic consciousness of what's going on. So I'm still, I'm going to have to figure out how to do it and see maybe the next time we do it, I will do it without having a live chat. That way I could tell everyone before I go off tonight, hey, tomorrow night, having no live chat whatsoever, just a guided meditation. Okay? So maybe we do that. How's that sound, Jane? Jamie, sound like a good idea? Don't ask me how. Which is a good thing. That's right, Jane. Yep. And it all leans on, it's your life, Jane. However you represent it, however you feel it, however you see it, that's it, right? Now try and push that on somebody else, well, that's where you get a problem. But your representation for yourself, it's what it is. So however you feel about any of this, it's fine. You don't need to be judged or asked or any of that. You for yourself, it's all good. Okay, so that's our little thing. So basically, the chat will run, but I won't respond to it until after the meditation, right? So I would say for you, like, don't look at it. Focus on the meditation, and there is my teacher. One of those things of running across the hot coals is like, it's a test, because if you are really in state, man, you could lie in those hot coals and you wouldn't get burned I mean, I saw guys swallow swords, put them through their cheek all the way out, pull them out, and have the hole in their cheeks heal up within a half hour without a scar. So anyway. So, oh, look, 40:40. Okay, so I'm out of here in about 20 seconds. And I'll see you 7 p.m. And we'll do just a guided meditation. We'll have the live chat, but we won't watch it until afterwards. And then tomorrow, tonight just before I leave, I'll tell everyone, hey, tomorrow we're going to do a guided meditation, no chat. Okay? Okay. Love you guys. Spread the word. I'm not on the social media thing, so tell other people. Love you guys. You're the best. Here we come. 40:40. Okay. Yep, there it is. Come on. Here we go.